On Mother's Day, I received a card from my 6-year-old daughter that changed my life forever.At first. I thought it was just another sweet handmade card filled with glitter, crooked hearts, and misspelled words. But hidden inside was something I never expected, something that made me break down crying before I even reached the end. And what happened afterward still feels impossible to explain. That if you're close to your mom, or if you've ever lost someone you loved, this story will stay with you. Mother's Day had always been complicated for me. When I was little, it was magical.My mom made everything feel warm and safe. She was the kind of woman who danced while cooking dinner, sang loudly in the car even when she forgot the lyrics, and somehow always knew when I was hurting before I said a single word. But after she passed away 2 years earlier, the holiday became painful. Her name was Susan, and losing her felt like losing the center of my world. Cancer took her slowly. Cruelly. By the end, she looked nothing like the strong, energetic woman who raised me, but somehow, even while fighting for her own life, she spent most of her time worrying about everyone else, especially me. Emily, she would always say, "Promise me you won't carry the world on your shoulders." I always laughed when she said that, because carrying the world was exactly what I did. Especially after becoming a mother myself. My daughter Lily was 6 years old that spring. She had my curly brown hair, my mother's bright green eyes, and enough energy to power an entire city. She was the reason I got out of bed every morning. But if I'm being honest, I was struggling. Balancing work, parenting, bills, housework, and grief had slowly drained me. I constantly felt like I was failing. Some days I snapped over tiny things, some nights I cried quietly in the bathroom so nobody would hear me. And the guilt was unbearable, because good mothers weren't supposed to feel exhausted all the time. At least that's what I kept telling myself. Mother's Day that year arrived on a sunny Sunday morning in May. I woke to the smell of burned toast and loud whispering downstairs. Then came crashing sounds, then silence, then more crashing. I smiled before even opening my eyes. My husband Daniel was clearly trying to make breakfast. A few seconds later, Lily burst into our bedroom wearing rainbow pajamas and a paper flower crown that kept sliding sideways off her head. "Don't come down yet," she shouted behind her. Daniel yelled, "Lily, it was supposed to be a surprise. She already knows." Lily whispered loudly. I laughed for what felt like the first genuine time in weeks. "Okay," I said, sitting up. "I'll stay here." Lily narrowed her eyes suspiciously. "Promise?" "I promise." She sprinted out of the room dramatically, nearly tripping over her own feet. Downstairs I heard more chaos. The microwave beeped 3 times, something shattered. Daniel muttered a word he definitely hoped Lily didn't repeat later. And somehow hearing all of it made my chest ache in the best possible way, because for a few moments life felt normal again, warm, alive. By the time I came downstairs, the kitchen looked like a disaster zone. Flour covered half the counter. One pancake was somehow stuck to the ceiling fan, and Daniel stood proudly beside a tray carrying slightly burned pancakes, strawberries, coffee, and orange juice. "Happy Mother's Day," he said with a tired smile. Lily bounced beside him excitedly. "We made everything ourselves." "I can see that," I laughed. Breakfast was messy and chaotic and perfect. Lily handed me handmade gifts every 5 minutes, a macaroni bracelet, a drawing of our family where Daniel somehow had purple skin, a paper coupon that said 1 free hug even if mad. That one nearly made me cry by itself. Then Lily suddenly froze. "Oh," she gasped. "Wait here." She ran from the room and returned carrying a pink envelope covered in glitter hearts. Unlike the other gifts, this one looked carefully protected. She held it gently with both hands. "This is the important one," she whispered. Daniel smiled softly. "She worked on that for days." I reached for it, but Lily pulled it back. "You have to read it alone." I blinked. "Alone?" She nodded seriously. "In your room." Something about her expression caught me off guard. It wasn't playful anymore. It was important. I exchanged a quick glance with Daniel. He shrugged. "Guess you better follow instructions." So I took the envelope upstairs. The bedroom was quiet except for the faint laughter drifting from downstairs. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the card. The front read, "To Mommy, love, Lily." The letters were uneven and covered in glitter glue fingerprints. I smiled. Then I opened it. Inside was a drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands beneath a giant yellow sun. Me, Daniel, Lily. But in the corner was another figure. A woman with gray hair. My breath caught instantly. "Grandma." Beneath the drawing, taped carefully inside the card, was a smaller folded note. At first, I assumed Lily had written another message, but the moment I unfolded the paper, My entire body went cold because the handwriting wasn't hers. It was my mother's. For a second, I genuinely couldn't breathe. I stared at the familiar looping letters as memories crashed into me all at once. Hospital rooms. Machines beeping. Her weak smile. The smell of lavender lotion she always wore. My hands started shaking. The note began, "Dear Emily, if you are reading this," then Lily finally decided it was time. Tears instantly filled my eyes. I remembered something suddenly. 3 months before Mom died, she had asked to spend time alone with Lily in her hospital room. I thought she simply wanted one last grandmother-granddaughter moment. When I returned 20 minutes later, Mom had smiled at me strangely and said, "We took care of something important." I never asked what she meant. Now my heart pounded so hard it hurt. I kept reading. "First, I need you to stop doubting yourself. You have always believed being a good mother means being perfect. But Emily, children don't remember perfection. They remember feeling loved." A tear slid onto the paper. Because she knew. Even then, she knew exactly how hard I would become on myself after she was gone. The letter continued. "I know you're tired. I know there are days you feel like you're failing. There will be mornings when you lose patience, nights when you cry quietly, and moments when you think Lily deserves better. But listen to me carefully. That little girl adores you." I covered my mouth as sobs escaped my throat. It felt impossible. Like somehow my mother was speaking directly into the worst parts of me from beyond time itself. Then came the sentence that changed everything. "There's one more thing. Ask Lily about the blue box." I stared at the words in confusion. Blue box? I wiped my tears quickly and walked downstairs clutching the letter. Lily sat on the living room floor eating strawberries while Daniel cleaned the kitchen. She looked up immediately. "You read it?" I nodded slowly. "Honey, what blue box?" Her entire face lit up. "She said you'd ask." Then she jumped up and ran down the hallway toward her bedroom. Daniel frowned. "What blue box?" "I have no idea." A few seconds later, Lily returned dragging a small metal tin decorated with faded blue flowers. The moment I saw it, my knees nearly gave out. It was my mother's old recipe box. I hadn't seen it since childhood. She used to keep handwritten recipes inside. Apple pie, chicken soup, chocolate chip cookies. But when Mom got sick, the box disappeared. I assumed it had been lost during the hospital chaos. Apparently not. Lily climbed onto the couch beside me and carefully placed the box in my lap. She made me promise not to lose it. My hands trembled as I opened the lid. Inside weren't recipes. There were envelopes. Dozens of them. Every single one labeled in my mother's handwriting. "Open when you feel alone. Open when Lily starts school. Open after your first big fight with Lily. Open when you miss me too much. Open when life feels unfair. Open on your worst day." I completely broke. Years of grief crashed into me at once. I cried harder than I had at my mother's funeral. Daniel wrapped his arms around me while Lily rubbed my shoulder gently. "It's okay, Mommy," she whispered. I looked at my daughter through tears. "You protected this all this time?" She nodded proudly. "Grandma said it was my special job." I couldn't believe it. The 4-year-old had kept this enormous secret for 2 years. That night, after Lily went to bed, I opened the first envelope. "Open when you miss me too much." Inside was a 3-page letter. My mother described the day I was born. How terrified she felt holding me for the first time. How she worried constantly about making mistakes. How she once accidentally fed me cold formula at 3 in the morning because she was too exhausted to think straight. I laughed through tears reading it. Because my mother, the woman I considered perfect, had felt exactly the same fears I carried every day. At the end of the letter, she wrote, "Being a mother is not about never failing. It's about loving someone so deeply that you keep trying again every single day." I must have read that sentence 20 times. Over the following weeks, the blue box became part of my life. Whenever things got hard, I opened another envelope. And somehow every letter arrived exactly when I needed it most. One came after Lily got sick with the flu and I spent the night panicking beside her bed. Another came after a terrible argument with Daniel. One arrived on a day I felt completely burned out from work and parenting. Each letter felt like my mother had somehow predicted the future. But one envelope changed me more than any other. 3 months later, Lily had a terrible day at school. A boy made fun of her artwork during class and she came home crying. "I'm bad at everything." She sobbed. I tried comforting her, but nothing worked. Then I remembered one envelope. "Open when Lily doubts herself." My heart raced as I opened it. Inside was a short note. "Right now Lily needs confidence, not solutions. Tell her about a time you failed. Children heal faster when they realize perfection was never the goal. I stared at the words in disbelief. Because that was exactly what I needed to hear. So I sat beside Lily and told her about the time I froze during a school presentation in 7th grade and cried in front of my entire class. At first she looked shocked. You cried at school? Oh yeah, I laughed. Grandma too, definitely Grandma too. Slowly, Lily smiled. Then she hugged me tightly. That moment changed something between us forever. I stopped trying to be a perfect mother. Instead, I became a real one. I apologized when I messed up. I laughed more. I worried less about doing everything right and focused more on being present. And strangely enough, motherhood became lighter. Not easier, but lighter. Then came the final surprise point. 6 months after Mother's Day, I reached the bottom of the blue box. Only one envelope remained. It simply said, "Open when you're ready." I stared at it for nearly an hour before finally opening it. Inside was another letter, and a small silver key taped to the paper. The letter read, "Emily, if you're opening this, then enough time has passed for you to understand something important. Grief never disappears, but it changes shape, and now I need to tell you one final secret. The key belongs to the storage locker downtown." I frowned in confusion. Storage locker? The letter continued. I left something there for Lily. Something I hoped I'd someday give her myself. The next morning, Daniel and I drove downtown while Lily sat nervously in the back seat asking a million questions. The storage facility was old and dusty. The manager handed us paperwork and led us to locker 214. My hands shook as I inserted the silver key. When the door rolled upward, Lily gasped. Inside was a wooden chest, beautifully polished. On top sat a note. For Lily's 18th birthday. Tears immediately filled my eyes again. We opened the chest carefully. Inside were birthday cards. 18 of them. 1 for every year of Lily's life until adulthood. There were photo albums, handmade quilts, jewelry, letters, videos on old flash drives, even tiny wrapped gifts with labels like, "To Lily on her first heartbreak, To Lily on graduation day, To Lily when she needs courage." My mother had prepared 18 years worth of love before she died. Daniel stood speechless beside me. Lily looked confused. "Grandma made all this for me?" I knelt beside her, crying openly. "Yes, baby. She loved you that much." Lily smiled softly. Did I still talk to her sometimes? I froze. "What do you mean?" "At night," she said casually. I say goodnight to her picture. My chest tightened painfully, and sometimes she whispered, "I think she hears me." That night after Lily fell asleep, I sat alone in the living room holding one of my mother's letters. For the first time since losing her, the grief felt different. Still painful, still heavy. But no longer empty, because I realized something extraordinary. My mother hadn't just left behind memories. She left behind guidance, comfort, presence, love carefully folded into paper and hidden inside envelopes waiting for the exact moment they'd be needed most. And somehow, through the innocent hands of my little daughter, that love found its way back to me exactly when I was falling apart. So if you're listening to this story today, here's what I want you to remember. Tell people you love them while you can. Save the letters, take the photos, write things down. Because one day, words may become the only way someone can still hold you close. And sometimes, a simple Mother's Day card can carry enough love to heal an entire broken heart.